Welcome to The Sting of Time, episode 36, where I, Leeloo, and you, Oskar, I've forgotten to introduce us for about 20 episodes now, watch the movie The Scorpion King. 52 times in a row. This is episode 36, so it was watch 36. Opening thoughts, Oskar.
Opening thoughts is that I remember that I said something and then I stopped saying it and I said I'll save it for the podcast and now I don't remember what it was.
That's great. I would say that maybe we should get into that after. Maybe there's like a general thought about the watch. How did you feel? Was the watch easy? Was it eventful? Was it?
It was easy, I felt. Uh, we talked a lot, and I even talked about the fact that we talked a lot. And the beginning part of the movie was kind of, glanced over, or however you say it, because we were talking about something, the entire like opening part of the movie.
Yeah, we weren't. You should say we were not talking directly about the movie for the first 15 or so minutes of the movie, I would say.
Yes, we were discussing some secret future projects
Yes.
for the land, and we should leave it at that. But when it comes to the watch, the watch was pretty smooth, but I felt that we really we kind of dug into some what should I say, some like core criticism that we have previously touched upon, but I feel like we really managed to put it properly into the right, coherency of how we truly felt about said criticism. Mainly, or as I remember it now, we discussed a bit how. Well, I'll be a bit concise about it and just say that we felt that the movie would have worked a lot better as a tragedy.
Yes.
Mainly was like the consensus we reached.
We sort of reached this this talking point pretty late in the movie. I feel like I should say for me, this watch was sort of pleasant in that sort of intellectually stimulating way.
Yes.
That watching a movie for 36 times in a row can be. But before we reached, I should say, our analysis of the Scorpion King, which this tragedy analysis, I guess, builds upon several viewings of the Scorpion King. Well, I guess that's sort of understood already, but it builds on several different viewings of the movie from different perspectives, and they sort of coalesce, right? But also crucially from the Mummy 2.
Yes, Mummy 2. Like Mummy 2 was kind of like a somewhat unexpected like linchpin for today's watch. A lot of mummified remains of the Mummy 2 watch came, blowing back like a poorly animated sandstorm into our land. And
but before we sort of reach that part, I would, because I feel like you're right. You're correct in saying that this viewing, from a zoomed out perspective, is definitely about the tragedy. It's a sort of the tragedy view, right? But before that, I would say that the sort of core theme of this view, which also is sort of tragic, but maybe in a different sense of the word, is the at least for me, my realization that nothing remains at this point. There are no
That's completely true.
there are no there are no funny moments. There haven't been any funny moments from the movie, but there are no meta funny moments left. There are
No.
no jokes. All of them have just organically stopped.
Yeah, and I feel like there have been points in the past where maybe not so much on the podcast, but like during the watch where we have said, like, I think we have, seen everything in the movie. I think
Mm.
we have, there's nothing to laugh about. Like, uh, especially on like legendarily terrible watches
Yeah,
as we have
yeah,
had that would amplify this sort of miasmic dread. But this watch, I think we truly revocably reached the point where we can't really laugh at like anything in the movie anymore, or we can't kind of make the exactly like you say, like stuff like the choke, like choking the Dwayne choking the kid. uh there we even brought up like the camel
yeah,
does nothing. Like the camel, like I don't even see the camel anymore
yeah.
when
It's
I
just
look at the movie. It's
someone else.
just
It's somebody I
blended
used
into
to
the
know.
fabric of the screen.
But
Uh,
I think to like to try to illustrate this for someone who hasn't seen either The Scorpion King or any other movie 36 times in a
mm,
row. Uh, if you watch a movie with someone, even if it's a bad movie, let's say you watch it 3 times or something like that, something is going to be funny regardless. Maybe they try to make it funny or it's unintentionally funny, and you laugh at that. Sort of,
mm,
it's an honest laugh. And then a couple of viewings later, even if you like space these out, uh, maybe you stop laughing at it for a little bit, and then you'll start laughing at it because you've seen it so many times.
yeah.
So it becomes an honest laugh again. And then you'll stop, and then maybe you'll have the memory of laughing at it, and it'll sort of be a meme thing where you go, oh, here's the thing.
I remember when this was really funny.
Yeah. And then you have that for X amount of time, and then maybe you stop. And
Mm,
then you have the meta call out of like, this is so unfunny that calling it out, calling out that we used to call this out is a thing.
mm,
And if you can't believe it, there are many of those, or were many of those,
yes.
in the Scorpion watching this movie 36 times in a row. Maybe they'll come back. We don't know. But at this point, basically every single beat of the movie that either the movie has created or we have
Yeah.
created have just ceased to exist. They're nothing.
It's like if the beats of the movie or like the beats of these like meta meme things or whatever exist on the skin of a drum, and we've been hitting the drum like it this entire time now, like it's like we've hit the drum so much that the skin has disintegrated. It's just like a weird
It's a
oval.
whole.
Yeah, it's just a hole. It's a hole, and I'm not gonna finish that sentence. But but it's really there's nothing left. It is truly.
We have beaten the dead horse
Yes,
into a pulp.
yes. The horse is not a horse anymore.
Nope.
We've broken the stick, the horse, the ground, the everything. It is
Yeah, we're
truly
in Australia. We're in movie Australia. We've come out the other
yes.
end.
And Australia is also, seems to be going the way of the horse.
Yeah, it's pretty barren.
So,
Uh, but yeah, that was sort of what I would have characterized the viewing as early, or
mm,
sort of the midway point. But before I'll let you talk about the intro this tragedy, right? But
mhm,
before that, I figured maybe we'll lay out a couple of things, right, about the movie that we sort of think are in the text of the movie. A, Memnon as we've discussed before, regardless of how you feel about him as a character or his like charisma or you know, he doesn't necessarily, from the lens of the movie, do that much textually bad things. Um, he's in a lot of ways he represents sort of order in this chaotic world.
Yes. I think you said he represents like civilization.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I think you could arguably like say that that's a, because civilization isn't always good. You could say that like Memnon is a colonial aspect, right,
Yeah.
of the movie. But then again, like so, you'll get to that. So is Matthias, right? Um, you could argue that probably all the characters, all the kings or leaders, are conquerors in some fashion.
Yeah, because I mean, I could absolutely buy that every like I don't know what to say, but like a regal character or
Yeah,
whatever in this movie has a backstory where they were Memnon
yeah,
or did Memnon, like, because I mean it's like because all of them are warriors. Even Pharaoh obviously
yeah,
is obviously an analogy for like old King Conan kind of a style that you can tell that Pharaoh was a warlord in his youth, surely, like that sort of thing. So it really is because we talked about how there's like who has the moral upper ground in this story? No one.
yeah,
There is no morality at all.
yeah,
It is simply the winner and the loser,
exactly.
so to say.
And the sort of the other part to this is, so Memnon represents civilization, and a big part of why Memnon, at least from the what happens in the movie,
Mm,
is sort of hard to not see as the status symbol for order, is that he has already won.
yes.
The Memnon dynasty, or whatever you want to call it, they rule the lands. They are the military power. They are peacekeepers in that they uphold the law, which we
Mm,
see in the movie several times. He has a court full of advisors. There's trade going on. It's not a hellhole, you know.
yeah. I feel like we have to like accentuate this part here that life in because what we see as a representation of Memnon's reign is how is life in Gomorrah,
Yeah,
and clearly Gomorrah is supposed to be his seat of power, and so on. So and there is like basically no like depiction of life being bad in
yeah. There's no
Gomorrah.
suffering.
Yeah, like the only thing you could kind of be like tangibly touch on is that, oh, there are street urchins, there are like homeless children, I think they were there before.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
like that is nothing to do with Memnon. That is just a fact of life
Yeah,
in this age. So
exactly. They were probably same goes for the brothel and stuff like that.
yeah,
It
it's like
isn't, it isn't
Mem
even necessarily depicted as, because I mean obviously a brothel is probably not a nice life, right? But
mm,
it's not like they are depicted, neither that nor the harem is depicted
no.
as shitty, you know, like it's
They
probably,
do not seem like mistreated,
yeah,
or I shouldn't say that. I said they are not, they don't seem, but they are also like not to the audience presented as being mistreated.
yeah,
Like
there's they
there is no like foundation they lay where you see like, oh, look at these rowdy clients, or look at the how the harem girls are trapped in the or
yeah,
oppressed by the
there's no
guards. So like
pimp, there's
there's
no,
nothing,
yeah, there's
of this kind
no
of thing ever.
implicit suffering
Yes.
for anyone except for the street urchins, presumably because they're homeless. But as you
Mm.
said, there's like 5 of them also. So
And it's interesting, of course you get that they are street urchins and homeless or whatever, but that is not even that is cemented.
yeah,
Like
exactly.
you just get to see them, and then you draw that of course you logically assume that, oh, this group of kids is stealing from Dwayne are homeless street
Yeah,
urchins and so on. But they might have they might not be.
Yeah.
It's whatever.
So that's like A, Memnon
Yeah.
as order. B is uh, Cassandra, the sorceress, as a prophet,
Mm.
and we know that she's not 100% accurate. Or I guess she technically is. She is 100% accurate. She just has to uh, what's the word I'm looking for? Tolka. Yeah,
Interpret.
she just has to interpret the things she see, I guess.
Yeah.
It's a bit weird because she does see things that don't happen, but they are presumably things that would happen if she didn't intervene.
Yeah, it's weird. No, clairvoyance is a weird
Yeah,
subject
but
because
she
it's
is
you know.
textually clairvoyant.
Mm,
It's not. Oh, she just says that she sees things and maybe it's true. We know that
yeah,
she
yeah.
has
Like
visions.
it's not a scam.
Yeah.
It's a real power that exists.
So she can see the future, and we know from the end of the movie that she sees things not going super well for
Yeah,
Matthias.
because this is implied in the and that is the fate of all
Yeah,
kingdoms.
exactly.
Like so.
So she knows where it's going to go. And the third piece of the puzzle is the Mummy 2, where
Mm,
Matthias is not a lot older, so it has to be pretty close to what happens in Scorpion King. He is basically a rampaging murderer,
yeah,
a super conqueror, giga conqueror.
yeah. He has undergone a like complete transformation, like from where we see him in Scorpion King, where it's like, oh, now he became a bit more which like maybe stable after
Mm,
having his vengeance and settling down as an honest king of or whatever, like that sort of thing. But when you see him in the Mummy 2, he is he looks like he has never been inside in his life
yeah,
or whatever. Like, he looks like a rampaging barbarian
yeah.
kind of thing. So
And not only do we see him do that, and they say that he conquers, that's what he does. He conquers a lot.
mm,
But in the flashback in the Mummy 2, he loses, and then he basically sells his soul to what the Mummy 2 sort of depicts Anubis as the devil, more or
yeah,
less.
which is a bit
Yeah, it's a bit weird, but
but
yeah. But he sells his soul to Dog Devil, and the Dog Devil gives
mm,
him a demon army that he basically massacres the world with.
mm,
So he's a doo-doo head character. He's for sure bad. He's evil in that
yes.
movie. And the sorceress presumably knows this, at least knows that it's gonna go south. So those
Mm.
are like our three pieces, which leads us into
The tragedy of the Scorpion King, so to say. But no, but what we but because what we were kind of touching upon was that the movie, which is a movie that we appreciate, like Dwayne has no arc, there is no morality in the movie, there is certainly no message in the
yeah.
movie,
Dwayne is
and
basically not a character because
yes,
his intellect, his view of the world, how
ah,
he
yes, that came
reacts
up.
changes every fucking scene. He might be
Yeah,
he's as
yeah,
dumb or as smart as the scene needs him to be.
yeah. This was kind of prompted by the scene where we just like during the scene where he strangles Tutu, and he's acting like big dumb giant, like it's suddenly like it's a children's movie now, and he's like, oh, you kill half and I'll kill half, you are a child, I am stupid, or like that kind of thing. And then it can go like 30 seconds later, and now he's like stoic militarily, whatever, like
Yeah.
the character changes every scene. And but what we were thinking then was that uh, a way to give the movie, or as I think I put it, like in order for the movie to be about something, so that you felt when you watch the movie you kind of go like, I understand what was going on here. This is like anything that tracks in the movie
Mm.
dramaturgically. uh, it would have to be a tragedy, and it's kind of a whack comparison, but I'll do the same comparison again, but as I did when we watched it. But if you take something like the story of Warcraft 3, which is a pretty simple, as you know, it's a pretty simple story. It's nothing special really, but in Warcraft 3, how you have Arthas. Arthas is a paladin. Oh no, Arthas wants to do good, but then he makes a really poor decision, and then he keeps making really bad decision. Now he's corrupted. Like now he's actually corrupted, and he wants to do bad things. And then at the end, like of the Frozen Throne expansion, when he's climbing the ice tower up to the Frozen Throne, and you get the cutscene where you can see like all of his bad or rather like evil decisions are haunting him, like the people he has killed and disappointed and like disappointed but
Dude, disappointing.
what are you doing, my son? I wish you had gone into another career. but but then he gets to the top and he puts on, the Lich King helmet, and you feel like this is, total corruption.
Yeah.
This is total tragedy, because the tone of this kind of scene is sadness.
Yeah.
It's sorrow. It's this isn't cool. It isn't cool that Arthas has become the evil, spiky Lich King or whatever. This is a failure. It is tragedy.
Yeah.
That's what tragedy is, and it would really like if you were going to give Matthias an arc and the movie like some sort of theme, it would be that you would see Matthias as maybe the way I imagine it is like maybe Matthias is someone who is not necessarily good, but also not necessarily like maliciously evil. He is someone like he works in a evil trade, so to say, of like he's an assassin, but maybe they are assassins out of necessity in this cruel world, that sort of thing. And he and his brother is someone who is his pillar in life, and you get to see more that I truly depend on this person. Like this person is my guide and my role model. And then when he dies, this causes my face to become more unhinged because he was like the leash on him, like morally or that sort of thing. And then he becomes throughout the movie he will become more unhinged, make that wouldn't make the same kind of maybe compromise that he would have made with his brother, that sort of thing. And you see the gradual, like as things go better for him, he makes worse decisions, like the sort of line or whatever. And then this would culminate in like the tragic finish where it would be like, see now what happened when and also obviously that the sorceress would see this potential in him and more overtly to the audience show that I am manipulating this person for my own gains to become for whatever reason like this evil king. But he would not realize like a bit of a Palpatine and Vader sort of thing, but whatever.
I think it might be lost on some people now that because you're talking about a potentially better movie, right? You're talking about how do you take this idea and formulate it into something that doesn't suck.
Ironically, a subject that was somewhat soft banned for a lot of this. We explicitly in the past we cannot think about the movie like this because we'll go insane. And but we have gone insane now, so that's what it is.
But for someone else who hasn't sort of done this process, I think it's almost necessary to note that in the text of the movie, in what happens in the movie, if you take out the Hollywood things like, oh, there's a music sting that's heroic for Matthias, or there's, oh, look at how evil Memnon is because he looks in the camera like this instead of, in the text of the movie, we have Memnon, who is the king, who, as we discussed earlier, represents order, right? They've already lost. Anything that, you could say that Balthasar and the people, that they are righteous in their cause to want to take back their homes, but they will necessarily just cause more suffering, right?
Yes.
They the people, the capital P people already
What?
already have settled down. It's just another
Yes.
king,
Which is blatantly apparent in Gomorrah.
Yeah,
The people are not shown as oppressed. They are not
exactly.
implied even to be oppressed. The people that are presented as like the victims of Memnon are like the Amazons and
Yeah,
Balthasar,
they're
the
royalty. They're
Nubians.
just other
Yeah,
royalty.
exactly. Like they are just the losers.
Yeah,
It's like I said, it's winners and
yeah,
losers.
uh,
They are not better than Memnon,
yeah.
like on a moral ground.
And that is in the movie. And what's also in the movie is that Matthias is a fucking killer. He's just a straight up,
Yes,
he's a stone cold killer. That's what he does. He takes money and he kills people. Um,
absolutely.
and we've discussed this earlier, but Memnon, like the reason he goes after Memnon is the fact that Memnon kills his brother,
Yeah, who
uh,
tried to
who tried to
murder
murder
Memnon.
Memnon. Yeah, like Memnon is 100% reasonable in doing so. Um, and he also abandons his job. He doesn't kill the sorceress because she's a woman, I guess. Like,
Mm,
so he's not even sort of, he wavers in his own code instantly in the movie. He's totally fine with killing other people he wasn't
yes.
paid to kill, but he won't kill the sorceress. Um, and then the movie becomes a revenge story for him, which I think is sort of reasonable. Like, he's an unhinged
Mm,
killer. Of course, he would want to kill someone who killed his brother. But there is no foundation for him to become a king. He doesn't.
yes.
What is he? Do we even know if he knows how to fucking read? Like, he has no contacts. He knows nothing about how to rule people. You don't even know if he wants the best. He never says he wants good things for the people.
No. If he quite literally says, the people are I said the people are not my
Yeah,
problem. That you and the people have the same problem. Like that sort of thing.
yeah,
Like what was that enough?
yeah, exactly.
Is this guy a fucking
Uh,
moron? It's like,
and in this sort of tragic view of the movie where Memnon dying, we know that leads to more suffering, for
yes,
sure. Uh, we,
canonically leads to that.
yeah, and there is no plan for anyone, not even from behind the scenes. I guess you could argue the sorceress, right?
Mm,
But in the text of the movie, there is no plan for anyone to insert him as king.
no.
It just sort of happens. He
Yeah,
just
it
stands
happens.
there.
Yeah, say like it kind of happens because he stands there and the soldiers look at him, and then one of the soldiers says, "Hail to the king!"
Yeah,
And everyone's like, "Oh, is that what's going on? Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, that guy."
yeah. He's
It's
king now. Um, and it's so weird to me. I guess it has to be this way because the movie's called Scorpion King, right? And we know
mhm.
what happens to him. But it's like in any other version of this movie that is supposed to not be a tragedy. He refuses. He goes, "No, I am the roguish guy. I've learned
Yeah,
some lessons, but I must wander the earth again."
yeah, make him more of say like it becomes more of a. I realized that this world of these kings killing kings that then kill the new king that kill the next king, like that sort of thing. It is not for me. I realize now what my brother was trying to teach me, that I should be the ultimate sovereign citizen, or whatever. I mean,
Yeah, or
like
like,
whatever.
also consider this: how logical is it from what happens in the movie that he would refuse the crown and that the people, I guess, would give it to Balthasar, because that gives
Exactly.
Balthasar an arc. He is always talking about how he wants to protect the people. He wants what's best for the people.
Yeah.
He's he has no quest for vengeance in the same way. It's sort of already implied that he's given up on fighting Memnon. He's all
Yeah.
about saving what the remaining of his
Which
people.
already gives him massively better, like leadership
Yeah,
qualities than Matthias ever has.
exactly. And he's ready to give up his own life to help Matthias,
Yeah.
not because he wants to, but out of a sense of duty, right? Like, so
Yeah.
Balthasar is like, the end of his arc is so logically that he becomes king, and that Matthias does not. In a cut of the movie that's supposed to end with, oh, things went well.
Exactly. Because then you could also have, like, the how like kind of um focus in a bit on how, observe how Balthasar is uniting like all the other king characters,
Yeah.
like, you could have, the Amazon. Because we also said a bit how there's like no coronation for Dwayne or
Yeah.
anything. It's that the implied almost coronation scene at the end is just him walking out and goodbye, and then the people are like, "Oh, look, it's the king, dude," like that sort of thing. But if it was Balthasar, then you could have had like I feel like I talk about bring up Star Wars all the time. It makes me nauseous, but uh, like you could have the stereotypical like Star Wars medal ceremony kind of thing,
I
and you'd
can
see like the
make it super grandiose and make it
yeah.
Aragorn coronation from
Yeah,
The Lord of the
I
Rings.
mean, do that, and that would be also, and then you can see, even if they were like minor characters, you could have like, well, I guess not Pharaoh, sadly, because he's dead, but you could have, like the Amazon queen, swearing her fealty,
Yeah.
and you could have the whatever king of from the camp scene in the beginning. Yeah, bring those like bit
Yeah.
characters in and have them do like a bit of this and all that sort of thing. So it kind of feels like it would track a bit, considering if this would be left in the movie, then it would track a bit better with, rivers of blood cannot bring peace, but I
Yeah.
can bring obedience. Then it would show that I can bring peace
Yeah,
by the
exactly. Like,
like and so on.
Matthias did not become king just because he killed the king. That would be great.
Exactly.
And it's
Yeah,
also funny.
there is another way and so
Yeah.
on.
It's also funny that we talked about, I'll get into this, but like,
Mm.
it would make it way better, because I complained a little bit that Matthias fucking talks shit about Memnon and how he's a coward for the entire movie.
Yeah.
And then in the climax of the movie, Memnon beats the shit out
Yeah,
of
he
Matthias.
completely bodies him.
Yeah.
It's completely free.
Wrecks him.
You know?
Wrecks him free. Like, he just, he shuts him down in everything he tries to do. And he has plenty of opportunities to sort of dishonorably kill Matthias, and he doesn't do it. He doesn't take them. And Matthias then, and it's sort of character assassination for Memnon to just
Yeah,
get himself killed, but whatever.
That's another story.
Matthias abandons the sword fight and shoots him to death with a bow.
Mm.
In the cut of the movie that he refuses the crown, because it's a very, I said when we watched it, like, do you think when people are talking, like when Matthias is spreading his legend of how he became king, do you think he cuts out the part where he ran away and shot Memnon with a bow?
That part doesn't get on the hieroglyphics.
Yeah.
It's
but in the version of the movie where he gives up the crown, then that is super in character, because he's just like, oh, I'm not a king. Fuck that shit. I'm an assassin.
Yeah,
I just
exactly.
killed the guy. I iced that dude.
And then you can have that kind of be like, the stinger or whatever of because he has his whole,
Yeah.
catch this thing, and then that would be instead like a climactic moment where and you can have a stupid one liner or whatever there, where it's like,
I'm no king.
I'm no king, by the way, I am a piece of shit, and then blam, kill him or whatever, because
Killer
that
do
would,
what killer
yeah.
do.
And then you could also have, in the movie, there would have been kind of a thread throughout the movie. This is what a thread looks like. It goes like this, but but a thread of maybe weird word usage, but like how the sorceress would try to kind of groom Dwayne for being, an evil king, and be like, dude, you have to be a bit more, around the people. You have to be more regal. Don't show, don't eat like that, or don't be more proper. And then him, discarding this kind of thing at the end, like throwing it all away. You've thrown it all away, and just become become Dwayne once more, and then be like, hell yeah, I'm Dwayne, a dab on everything, and just you know,
Mm.
snip, snap, snoot, as we
It,
say in
it's
Sweden.
it's so shit. The movie is so shit. But before this, I have never really thought about how the ending of the movie is such a giant shit
Yes.
part of how shit it is. And we talked about how, because the it probably is this, like if you made this movie and it just was called the Desert Warrior or something, the
Mm.
Nomad, it would probably end the way we've talked about, because it sort of logically makes sense. Even if you're a dumb fuck moron Hollywood producer, it just makes
Yeah.
sense because it's cooler. It's much cooler to not
Yeah, he
become a king.
walks into the
Yeah,
horizon. Where is the
exactly.
champion? And so on.
And he, like, the sorceress really wants to fuck him, and he's like, "Sorry, I can't.
Yeah.
I'm too cool for pussy," or whatever. Um, But the fact that it is connected to the Mummy 2, makes it has to end this way. It has to end with him becoming a king, which is so fucking funny because the rest of the movie is
Yes.
entirely devoid of anything at all connecting
It's
it to
it's
it.
like, why did you bother with this when it was completely clear from the rest of the entire production that like the entire work has nothing to do with it,
Yeah.
but you keep that dude, he has to become king because it's called school. Change the name of the movie. I mean, it's like, call it how about that rock or whatever. I don't know who gives a shit. That rock show, that
Yeah.
7,000s 3C
Like
show.
there's I think we talked about how the only thing connecting the movies, because there is basically no talks about the title Scorpion King.
No.
There's no Scorpion iconography really. There's like two things.
Yeah, it's a bit annoying because you can like you can easily say, there's nothing in it, but then that voice in your head that criticizes everything you say or do, who you constantly argue with 24/7, will bring out, and we have, "Oh, actually there is a scorpion because he stabs the scorpion, and then
Yeah.
furthermore there is this, like, no, there is not.
Yeah.
That does not count.
It's
This is not
completely irrelevant. It doesn't
yeah.
matter. There's no actual Scorpion. It's all very much like they added it the last second because they
Yeah, I mean, he
forgot.
he could have put that area in a fucking orange or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't
Yeah, it
matter.
doesn't matter. It
It's
doesn't matter. It affects the plot in zero ways. Like if you
yeah,
cut that entire thing out, it doesn't change the movie at all.
exactly.
Um, so yeah, it's so weird. It's the only thing that's basically in the Scorpion King and the Mummy 2 is the fact that there are bad guys in red turbans. That's it,
Yes,
and they have no
and
connection with each other.
no, we talked about that. Like, because they're not like part of the same, like, even tangentially the same, like, organizational body or whatever. Because it's like the red turbans in Scorpion King are like Memnons, allegedly elite guys. You
Yeah,
you could say, even though they are all
inner
like Stormtrooper
circle.
syndrome. But yeah, exactly. Like, this is my boys, and then everyone who does not have a red turban are like cannon fodder or whatever. But then, ironic considering he fucking stabs just man to death, but he's out of line. Uh, then you have in the Mummy 2, they're like part of this, like Scorpion, or like it's a cult.
Yeah,
We worship,
the
and it's
Mummy.
it's not,
They
yeah, the
literally
Mummy. Like,
worship the
they
Mummy.
don't worship Dwayne.
No,
They worship I don't forget his name, but who cares? Well,
I
the
guess you could
Mummy.
technically say that they both follow strong leaders who oppose the Scorpion King, or
Yeah,
oppose Dwayne, rather, I should say.
yeah. So it's like weird because you would think that after Dwayne becomes king, I feel like I'm talking about Dwayne's presidential that can be. After Matthias becomes king, he presumably dissolves the Red Guard, because he thinks they're cringe or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, and you could argue that, oh, but then maybe he banished them from the land, and their descendants became the cult or whatever.
Yeah, you
But
should
that's
add that
so stupid.
it's like I don't know how far after is the moment. It's like 6,000 years, maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
It's like why would it? And it's like they would just go, for a massive amount of generations. They would just be like, my son, please, my son, take this red turban and guard it with your life for your entire life. This red turban is more important than anything, and make sure that your son wears it. And if you have a daughter, then get the son instead,
oh,
and so on.
father, doth this red turban and the accompanying attire signify any sort of religious belief or maybe creed that I ought to follow?
Yes, the creed is that you should only don this attire when you are dealing with matters concerning tangentially related to sand, perhaps. I'm not sure. If you go to England, make sure you wear it. What is England, you may ask? That is maybe a nation that might exist 7,000 years from now. Now leave me, for I must eat an orange, or whatever we do here in 7,000 BC. What is BC, you ask? Stop asking.